This video is sponsored by Mob, the Korean game studio behind the newly released Gungrave Gore. The studio was kind enough to reach out and offer me the chance to play the game early, and make a video about the game, which I'm happy to share with you today. We'll be discussing the general world and setup of Gungrave, and lead into how this game is a fantastic blend of the Gothic and cyberpunk atmosphere, with incredibly fun gameplay. For those who don't know, Gungrave is a series that started in the PS2 era. It was an action game, best known for having designs drawn by not one, but two majorly popular manga artists. Character designs from Naitao Yasuhiro, creator of Trigun and Blockade Battlefront, and mechanical designs by Fujishima Kosuke, creator of Oh My Goddess and Sakura Wars. It was never a huge hit, but it had a cult following, and I remember it exactly because of its unique look, though I never played the game. Gungrave Gore is the third game in the series, and a modernization attempting to revive the games after nearly 2 decades. But while you might wonder if this means you should be playing the previous games first, not to worry. This is not a plot-heavy series. While there is a story and developing character relationships, you really don't have to know them to be able to enjoy the focus of the game: combat. This is an action game for action game fans, with no fluff, no sidetracking, no find this key to open this door nonsense. You enter a level, and the screen tells you to kick their ass, and you proceed to do exactly that. For those curious, the game does have a helpful video explaining the past titles, but for the most part I found the story easy to follow with no knowledge at all. The character archetypes are clear from the start: the damsel in distress, the friends turned enemies, and you won't feel like you're losing anything by not knowing the details. The main character of the game is Grave, a resurrected corpse who lives off the blood of his enemies and has almost no personality due to the previously being dead thing. He is the heart of the experience, being both the avatar, which allows the player to blow enemies to smithereens, and the central symbol of the game's aesthetic, its gothic cyberpunk badass heart. First, let's step back and summarize what it is to be Gothic. A literary style that originated in the 1700s in Europe, Gothic literature developed into a style of writing that told stories focused on the taboo, on death and violence, sexuality and monstrosity, trying to frighten and titillate its audience with what was considered beyond the pale of normal society. Over the centuries, its themes and motifs have entered other media, and from those, entered into other cultures, becoming a global phenomenon of the grim and spooky, the global Gothic. The main character of this game is literally named Grave, and one of his central weapons is his own coffin. It is attached to him constantly, a terrible weight he lugs around with him, chained to both his arms. It is a weight upon his shoulders, quite literally, and you can see it in his motions and design, his slow walk and slumped shoulders. He has long, dingy black hair framing a pale, handsome face, is covered in black and silver, in belts and chains, and wields 2 enormous guns as his central weapons. This is not an action game centered on movement or flight. Your character is comparatively very slow, nearly chained to the ground. He is weighed down. He's a living corpse who isn't going to be pirouetting or flipping about the battlefield. His very combat style matches his appearance and aesthetic exactly, and it makes you have to reconsider how to play if you're used to a more movement-friendly combat system. This is a game about throwing your weight around, quite literally, about using your physical presence as a weapon, and knocking down the enemy long before they can get to you with long-distance weapons. Grave is not a traditional character per se. He's what I like to think of as a symbol character. Another example would be the titular Vampire Hunter D from the book series of the same name. These are characters who aren't exactly people in the traditional sense. You aren't going to learn a lot about their thoughts and feelings, their desires and drives. The game specifies that Grave lacks an ego due to the process that brought him back from the dead. His character instead comes from his aesthetic, his presence, the sense of style, and the performance he plays. The living corpse strapped in leather, lugging his own coffin around to smash people's faces in with it. He barely says a word in-game, but he doesn't need to. It's his look, his movement, his embodiment of goth cyberpunk. Goth punk, if you will. He's an anime Frankenstein who solely exists to kick ass. Part of the game's charm comes from the goth punk element, the beautiful blend of the themes of death, violence, gore, and the imagery that surrounds those things, as well as the futuristic dystopia that's full of light and colors and pretty advertisements, all while people are being gunned down in the dozens. The charm is also incredibly campy. Just look at the person you are playing as. Look at where he is in the game. Look at how he absolutely cannot enter doors like a normal person. It's fantastic. The gameplay adds to the fun camp style too. You've got chains that let you grab enemies from across the field. Then you can smash their faces into the ground, shoot them into smithereens, or just toss them bodily at their own friends. You've got the coffin, which acts as a battering ram against anything within 5 feet of you. And you have the fancy guns, which shoot 4 bullets per 1 pull of the trigger, which can also charge up and shoot a frickin' laser blast. You can learn a lot of extra moves to use with your various weapons, and they're all nearly impossible and absolutely ridiculous. Would you like to summon a giant rocket and kick it at your enemies? You can do that. This is a game that absolutely doesn't take itself seriously, but at the same time, Grave takes himself incredibly seriously, and he looks so cool doing all this silly stuff that you can't not buy into it. You do a lot of fighting and killing in this game, and that leads to a lot of dead bodies flying around. And I do mean flying. The corpse physics in this game are a delight, and I sometimes had to stop from sheer giggles at the way a guy's body had twisted into a pretzel or taken a literal flip through the air. One dude legit just vanished into the sky. I don't know where he went. Some say they can still hear his screams today. The story is incredibly campy, gothic, and fun. I haven't finished the full game, but I'm at least more than a third of the way through at about 12 hours and 18 missions in. And the fights, the scenes, the characters are a hoot. My favorite is the man who acts as Grave's former friend turned enemy turned reluctant ally, whose name is Bungie. Bungie! Their reunion in the game is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. From Grave recovering in his bloodmobile chair, to Bungie struggling with his desire to kill his former friend, to Grave's scream and leaping from the chair to smash his head into the ground. Holy shit. I loved it. I wanted that fight to continue for 5 years. There's a lot of variety in the game too. In the portions I played, there were 3 playable characters and a diverse set of levels with their own challenges, from entering the sewers, shooting things on trains, exploring a set of caves in Vietnam, running across the rooftops of Hong Kong, all of which involve different styles of facing your enemy, from big arenas to long hallways to moving platforms. And of course, the body physics. Fighting on the roof of the train, where there are signs you have to avoid hitting, leads to a bunch of flying bodies as new enemies spawn in, only to be bodied by a sign and set spinning into the atmosphere. And yes, you can dodge roll off the train. I don't recommend it. Sure, there are rough edges. You can tell the game was made on a budget, but where they trimmed the fat is exactly where I would have trimmed it if it were my game. In the words of Kitao Gozo during the PS2 era, it's best to pick one thing to focus on in your game and do it very, very well. This game picked action, because that's what matters here. So if the CG faces are a little off, or the dialogue sounds a little wrong, so what? I am here to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and I can no longer chew gum because I am a corpse. I really, really hope this game is a success because I want more of it. I want to see more of this goth punk world and its goofy badass coffin-wielding Grave, because it's such a fun concept and such a fun game to play. Longtime viewers know action is not my strong suit. The only game I've ever considered myself good at is Kingdom Hearts, and I'll never stop reminding people of the one time I managed to beat the game on critical difficulty with only the Kingdom Key, no equipment, no continues, in 15 hours. I am a badass in Kingdom Hearts. I didn't expect to be good at Gungrave. I started on easy, and within a few days and few hours of playing, I found myself getting into the swing of it. The system made sense. I could see how certain moves worked best against certain guys, how deadly it was to be surrounded or let too many folks get too close, how you should not dodge roll off a moving train. I felt like I was getting good, learning the actual system, to the point that I became really invested and spent a whole day playing the game, and I wanted to keep playing. I wanted to try on normal, hard, I wanted to get all the trophies. I was having fun in an action game, and that's rare for me. I really felt like it wasn't too difficult. The learning curve was smooth. The game showed you exactly what you needed to do, and gave you time to really get into the groove before amping up the difficulty. The one thing I really struggled with was the cave portion in Chapter 18, which is the place I'm currently stuck on. Cause fuck me if I can ever successfully time jumps. I had some flashbacks to DMC4. It's so much fun. It's a great concept and a well-executed game, and I'm thrilled the team behind it reached out to me and gave me the chance to try it and share it with all of you. Even if they hadn't sponsored me, I'd recommend this game, because I had a blast playing it. I'm definitely gonna keep playing it, and I'm gonna stream it, because it's just cool. It's exactly what you would want out of a game called Gungrave Gore. It's goth punk badass action at its best, and I really hope we get to see more from the folks at Iggy Mob soon. Thanks again to Iggy Mob and the developers for making the game and reaching out to me. If you want to purchase the game, use the link in the description. That'll let folks at Iggy Mob know they picked the right YouTuber to back, and it'll really help the channel. Plus, you'll get to play Gungrave Gore, and that is absolutely fantastic.